Hello and welcome back to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel where, of course, we're giving you all the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. Today, we're going for a little match preview of our game against Luton Town, which kicks off at the Hawthorns at 3 o'clock this Saturday. So we're really looking forward to that match. We're going to be going through all the details, all the opposition reports, going through all of the Albion predictions and all that jazz in this game, in our match preview to the Luton game. But if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel. Of course, getting loads of content coming your way and plenty more. And hopefully there'll be a match day vlog for this Luton game. So hopefully there's going to be some more really exciting content on the way. So it's essential that you subscribe to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel to get all that. And if you click the notification bell, it goes straight into your inbox with a notification. You'll know exactly when we've uploaded a new video. So without further ado, let's get into this match preview for our second game of the Championship season against Luton Town. So let's get straight into this match preview. So let's take firstly a bit of a look at the opposition, which this week is going to be Luton Town, who've got some very decent players at their disposal. Currently, Luton sat second in the league after their first game victory, a 3-0 win against newly promoted side Peterborough in the first game of the Championship season. So they're up there in this season so far. Obviously, it's early days, of course. We don't know who's going to get promoted. We haven't actually got a clue about that. But they did win 3-0, which is a very convincing victory against Peterborough, which obviously a newly promoted side, but they did really put them to the sword. Obviously, they've got some very good players who played in that game and some very interesting signings made over the summer, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. One in particular who I'm really looking forward to seeing is Carlos Mendes-Gomez. Hopefully not against us, though, playing well. But Carlos Mendes-Gomez, who has been playing previously at Morecambe, very, very, very well at Morecambe with 74 appearances, 17 goals in that particular game. But he's also, meant to be. He's a Spanish player as well. Hopefully, trying to impress the Luton Town fans on his first appearances for Luton, and did really well last week when he came off the bench. So I hear from a lot of Luton fans. Another player that I'm really sceptical about facing, and I'm sure a lot of Albion's back line will be sceptical about facing this particular player, and that's Elijah Adebayo, who used to play for Walsall, who's really set the Championship alight since joining, in my opinion. I think he's looked really, really sharp, looked very good in front of goal, and definitely a player to look out for if we are to even attempt victory. We're going to have to try and nullify that threat of Elijah Adebayo. I think, he scored six goals in 19 appearances for Luton. I think he's working really hard and he's doing very well. But I think that we'll see quite a lot of him this season, and I think he's going to look very, very good. Obviously, signed in January for Luton from Walsall. A bit of a last-minute one, as far as I'm aware. Obviously, Albion being quite close to Walsall, we do hear quite a bit about how they're getting on in their season and what they expect from their seasons. They were quite disappointed to see Adebayo go. So yeah, we're looking forward to seeing whether we can nullify those threats of Adebayo and obviously Carlos Mendes-Gomez. But another player who caught my eye last week in particular was Fred Onyedinma in the game against Peterborough, who obviously made his debut last week against Peterborough. And he looked very, very sharp. Obviously, formerly of Wycombe Wanderers and Millwall, so a good Championship player. It's a big name, in my opinion. So I think definitely looking very good, and I think we're going to have to really work hard to try and nullify that threat of Fred Onyedinma, and also Carlos Mendes-Gomez and Elijah Adebayo. Harry Cornick as well is another player to look out for, in my opinion, for Luton Town. Obviously, working very hard to try and push themselves up the league. Obviously, currently managed by Nathan Jones, who, if you didn't know, went to, I think, Stoke, and then came back to Luton Town after an initial spell. So I'm thinking, with regards to Nathan Jones, I think he's a very good manager. He knows how to get the best out of a lot of his players. So I think, obviously, we're looking forward to the game against Luton, but they have got a lot of good Championship players, and potentially better than Championship players if they can realise that potential. So Luton, they're a dangerous opponent, currently second in the Championship. But in terms of Albion, obviously we drew our opening game against Bournemouth. Obviously, we're looking forward to the anticipation of that game. And there is some players in our side who I think could cause a lot of damage. I think Alex Mowat played really well against Bournemouth in our 2-2 draw against Bournemouth in the opening game. I thought he looked really the part in the midfield and looked particularly athletic, very agile in the middle of the park. I thought another player that looked pretty decent was Dara O'Shea, who I thought obviously scored the goal to the first goal, the opener for Albion, the equaliser in the first half. But I thought he looked particularly assured at the back. I think he looked really comfortable on the ball, very good in terms of heading, winning his duels. I think he looked very, very good. So I think one player that we need to look that they should be particularly wary of is in fact Dara O'Shea, who I think looked very well. Could have a new signing debutant this weekend, which will be Adam Reach, who I think is going to potentially cover for some of the players, perhaps during the latter stages of the game, like we wish we had last week, with only 6 out of 7 substitutes named on the substitute bench for us. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame. And of course, we were hoping to see more players on the bench, but obviously we didn't get that in terms of what we were looking at then. But I think Albion, we can look to win this game. I think it's not one that we need to be really, really conservative about, and I'm not sure Valérien Ismaël will try and be conservative, and I don't doubt that he will try and implement the same style as he has throughout the opening game of our season so far against Bournemouth. But I think Luton, we do need to be a little bit wary. It's not something to be particularly conservative about, but obviously last season they finished 12th and they didn't quite do enough to mount a late playoff push. But I think this season, I can see them in the playoffs if they work hard enough. They've got a good mix of players. They've obviously got different types of footballers in their squad, and I think Luton will provide a challenge for us. Do not doubt that, but I do think we can come through and potentially get the win. Obviously, Albion in a bit of a transfer pickle with strikers. I think Daryl Dike and Liam Delap both mentioned. Obviously, if you followed our Instagram page or you follow our Twitter page, then you would have seen that we reported on that transfer news here on the Baggies podcast in response to some of the Express and Stars news that they released. So obviously, if you'd have followed us on there, you'd have seen that we'd reported that news. So if you're not following us on Twitter and perhaps even Instagram as well, there's a link in the description. It's a link tree, so it takes you to all of our social medias if you potentially need to follow us on all of them. But I do believe you need to follow us on all of them, so make sure you do. I just think, we do need to be conservative, but not in the sense of parking the bus. So if Tony Pulis was managing this game, I think we might see a 10 at the back formation from Tony Pulis. But I think Albion, we've got a lot to expect this season from Valérien Ismaël. Obviously, I'm particularly excited to see how he gets on at the helm of Albion. And I think he's worked really hard so far to keep us in the ability of the game, and obviously keep us in a lot of these games that we've been playing. Obviously, Bournemouth was a difficult one, going behind twice, but I think that showed tremendous character, and I was really pleased with the character that we showed in that particular game to come out and go and get those points in that game. So, in terms of playing this game out, I think it's going to have to be one where we press high, try and stop Luton from playing those balls forward, because obviously they want to get the ball forward quickly. They've got some good technicians in the midfield, like Pelly Ruddock and Panzu, I think is one that we need to watch out for. They've got some good technical players. However, in our last few meetings with Luton Town, obviously I particularly remember our last meeting with Luton Town in the first one of last season, again with Grady Dean Garner scoring twice on his debut. Obviously we beat them twice last season, 2-0 the first time, which was Callum Robinson's debut, if I'm right in thinking, and he did cause a bit of a problem and a skirmish for an own goal from Donovan Daniels, who obviously is another former Albion player in that side. And then obviously we saw a goal from Semi Ajayi late on, but then 2-1 in the first game with Grady Dean Garner's debut, and he came off the bench at half time, I think, for Kyle Edwards, and he went away and put in 2 goals to put us back in the game after Harry Cornick, who obviously I've earmarked as a bit of a threat for Luton Town, and obviously, you know, Grady Dean Garner came through and played really well in that particular game. So we're hoping for similar performances from the side. Obviously, it's a very different side from the one that Slaven Bilic played, but of course we're looking forward to the game, and there's plenty of atmosphere. Obviously, going to be at the Hawthorns, being the first game back for 18 months, where all the fans can be in the stadium at any one time. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And of course, I think a lot of us are really excited to see what the Hawthorns atmosphere is going to be like. Obviously, I'll be there at the game, so if you see me, I'll be vlogging the game and doing a bit of a match day video for you. So if you see me, don't be afraid to come and say hi, and of course, I'll include your prediction if you come and give me one in the video. That's going to be out, obviously, as soon as I can after that game. So my prediction for the Luton Town West Brom game is going to be 2-1 to West Brom. I think Luton will score first, much like they did in that game at the start of last season, and then we'll come back with 2 goals later on in the game. And I think those 2 goals are both going to come from Callum Robinson. So you heard it here first. But that does bring me to the end of this match preview. Leave your comments and your score predictions in the comments below. I look forward to hearing who you think is going to be on the score sheet and what you think the result is going to be. Are you going to the Hawthorns this weekend? Are you going to be back at the ground? Let me know. Comment down in the description and the comments below. And if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel, where we're giving you all the latest news, views and opinions on all things Albion. But that does bring me to the end of this video on the Baggies Podcast YouTube channel. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.